And I was reading this chapter like it was going to be a book report. Like I was going to sit here in front of this camera and say, these are the things that you need to know from this chapter, as I did in many of the other previous chapters. But then I'm like, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. And you know why? It's because I got to the very end of the chapter and there was something so connected to the type of person that I am that I needed to talk about this exact particular topic. So let's get into it in today's episode of Love Stories with Grady. Listen, I'm a 22-year-old boy who has never dated a girl longer than 22 hours. And the goal of this series is to learn a few things that'll help me date a girl in 23 hours. And this is why I wanted to hit on this topic. It's because, this might be a little bit more of a personal video, but if the whole point of the series is for me to talk about what I need to learn in order to improve in the future, well, it has to be personal. So at the very end of this chapter, it talks about how some people have a strong desire to be with a person, and they sit around and hope for it and really want to be with that person. Us as humans, we are connected to each other in many ways more than just a love relationship, and we are bound to connect because that's what us humans do. But what this book talked about is how some people are able to take a loneliness or a desire to be with someone and they're able to transition it into something that may be more productive or may fuel them more. So a little bit about me in this current stage of my life. I'm an author that's turning into a published author, and I am becoming that on top of a normal full-time job. So that means I work by day and then I work by night and then I sleep somewhere in the middle and do it all over again. Some people have sat down with me and they say, you're stuck in your apartment for days in a row, and then they ask me, do you ever get lonely? And it's weird because they're saying this and they're asking me this question, and it feels incredibly odd for me to say no. I don't feel lonely sitting in a room for a straight week by myself. When I was reading this book, I realized exactly why that was. What I've always realized about myself is that I am a workaholic, not necessarily because I love always working, but because I feel the need to do so much, and that I feel like I've been given a creativity that I don't want to take for granted and to miss spreading out to others. So because of that, I'm always looking to the future of, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do this? I got to beat this deadline and put this in place and make sure this goes out there in order to have the impact that I want. And instead of feeling a loneliness during this, I almost have the opposite effect where I'm scared of actually being in a relationship because I'm scared of how the relationship might affect the gifts I've been given and the ability that I would have in order to spread those gifts because of the limited time that I would have and the abundance of time that the person that I was in a relationship with would deserve. So I'm so married to my work where I can't even imagine being married to anything but my work. And for most people, their work ends at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock when they clock out of work and they go home. They go to baseball games, they hang out with their friends, they do things for the social aspects of it. And because they're focused on more of those social aspects, they look at, all right, well, I'm still missing this close, intimate relationship. I'm not able to have the thing that I see this person having, or this person having, or this person having. Where I'm writing a book and I'm so focused on what's going on in the book and getting the book done and getting the book shared that I don't necessarily have time to look at this person in a relationship or this person in a relationship. And so I was reading this book and it was talking about how people can take their drives and desires to do something that they can't yet do or can't yet have, maybe because they aren't with the right person, right? And they transition it into something more productive, which is something that I'm doing. But there's another aspect of that that's dangerous, where if you go too far, if you start being so caught up in the projects and the creativity and the things that you're doing, but you don't go out and live your life and meet new people and experience new things, you or me are ultimately going to get to the point where, yes, you might not necessarily feel lonely, but you'll still feel empty. And although emptiness and loneliness are pretty similar things, there's a stark contrast between them, and both are not necessarily where you want to be. And so my goal with this video is to make it more of a shorter one, just because I'm recording this 12 hours before I'm gonna post it, so you're getting a very hot take without me planning much notes. But here's what I would say that I learned from this chapter without any jokes, because in some of the previous videos I made some jokes at the very end. If you deal with loneliness and you wish you could be in a relationship, it might be good to say, all right, well, a relationship would be great and a relationship would be beneficial to my life, but what else am I doing in order to grow my life? Because your happiness can't be dependent on one other person. You get matched with this one other person, well then what else are you gonna do? You're just gonna sit around? No, if you're going to be in a relationship, you gotta be on a mission towards something. And that right person, that spouse, will come along and combine with you in that mission, and you guys are gonna be able to accomplish great things. So instead of focusing on your loneliness, focus on, all right, what is the type of impact that I want to have, and how can I use this desire to be with someone and transition it into pushing forward to potentially help someone else. Is that going to cure your loneliness completely? Probably not. But it's better than sitting at home for 8 hours straight after you get off work, watching 3 rom-coms every single night and wishing and wishing and wishing you were in a relationship with some imaginary person or that person across the street, because there's no use in that. For me, the way I'll probably meet my wife is walking through the grocery store and we're standing in the ketchup aisle and I point to the ketchup. I say, do you like Heinz? And then she says, yeah, I like Heinz. Do you like Heinz? I say, oh my gosh, we're so much alike. And then I just get down on a knee and pop the question. That's probably how it's gonna happen. It's just gonna be meant to be exactly like that, and I'll know the moment when it comes. But until I get to that point where I see that girl in the ketchup aisle and we get married, I have to realize that life is about more than operating in your giftings. Life is about going out in the world and appreciating other people's giftings and giving yourself a break from pursuing your giftings, and understanding balance and understanding sleep and understanding health and understanding, drink your water, Grady. Grady, that's to you while you're editing this. So here's my summarization of what I'm saying. If you are lonely, look for someone else to help. And on the flip side, if you're always on a mission in order to do something, stop for a moment and actually live to connect with others. I have no idea if this video is helpful, but I did feel like I needed to share this because it was just something on my mind. If you have any thoughts about this topic of being in strong loneliness or being in strong mission mode, comment below. And if you have any tricks or tips to people that are watching this, that may be very helpful. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Feel free to subscribe below if you are in the mood to. And I'll be back with another episode of Love Stories with Grady soon. Sayonara, amigos.